Good morning, and thank you for joining me for this week's Sunday School Storytime with Susanna. For the month of August, we're going to be focusing on communities worship. Do you know what worship means? Worship means that you are practicing what you believe in. So when we go to worship service at church, we are practicing that we believe in God. And those practices include praying together, singing, listening to Bible stories, and hearing the week's sermon. This week, we're going to be learning about how another community worshiped God. So this week's focus is communities worship, a house for God. This week's Bible lesson comes from the book of Exodus. Is Exodus in the Old Testament or the New Testament? What do you think? Excellent! It's in the Old Testament. In fact, Exodus is the second book of the Bible. This week's Bible reading is from a bunch of different chapters in Exodus, from chapters 25 to 31 and chapters 35 to 40. As I said earlier, we're going to be hearing about how a community worshiped God. This week, I'm reading from the Deep Blue Bible Storybook. A house for God. Moses went up the mountain to talk to God. God said to him, "I want the people to have a special place to go worship me. Have them build a big tent." So Moses told everyone to start working. Each person had an important job to do. People began to sew large blue, purple, and red curtains. Some people built the tent and hung the beautiful curtains. Some built wooden furniture and covered the wood with gold. Some people made beautiful clothes that had gemstones and gold on them for the priests to wear. God told Moses to have the workers build a gold box to hold the 10 Commandments that God had given Moses on the mountain. The box was called the Lord's Chest, or the Ark of the Covenant. The Lord's Chest was put inside the big tent. They called the tent the Tabernacle. People came to worship God. They brought God gifts of gold, silver, and spices. God's people were still traveling through the desert to the land God promised to give to Moses. Everywhere the people went, they took the tabernacle with them. The place of worship reminded the people that God was always with them. As you can tell from the Bible reading, when I talked about a house for God, I wasn't talking about an actual house, like the kind of house that you live in. I was talking more of a dwelling place, or really just a place where people could go and worship God. The whole purpose of this was that the tabernacle, or the tent, served as a visual reminder of God's presence with the people as they wandered through the desert to find the promised land. So in this way, the tabernacle was kind of like our church building, or any church building, really. If you see a church building, that can help remind you of God's presence with you. Remember, God is present with you not only in church, but everywhere. When you're out and about, when you're at home, when you're walking around, God is always with you. So whenever you see our church building, or any church building, remember that God is always with you. Unlike us, the people in this week's Bible story were traveling, so they couldn't build a permanent church building. So what did they do instead? They gathered up every single thing they would need for a permanent temple or a place of worship, but they made their house of worship mobile. They made it so that they could take it with them as they traveled. So it wasn't a traditional church building like we're used to seeing. It wasn't a permanent place, but rather it was a place where people could come to worship and praise God together. Even though it wasn't a church building like we're thinking of, did it still work as a good worship place? Absolutely. Wherever people can come and gather, worship and praise God, that is the perfect place of worship. So remember that worshiping God doesn't always have to happen in a church building. This is especially true for all of us, as we can't worship in our church building right now. We all must find new places of worship, new houses for God. In fact, your house might have become your place of worship. Do you watch the Sunday services at home? Well, then that is a place where people are gathered to worship and praise God. Your house has now become a house for God. What other places could be houses for God? What do you think? For me, whenever I'm out and about in nature, I feel like that is the perfect house for God. Looking around at all of the creation that God has made, all of the beauty that I see in it, that reminds me of God's presence. And whenever I see beautiful nature, I always praise God for bringing it to us. Remember that a house for God is any place where people can come together to worship and praise God. It doesn't have to be a physical building. So that's really what I want you to remember from this week's Bible story. That we have visual reminders of God's presence all around us, and that we don't necessarily need a church building to praise and worship God. There are houses for God all over. For this week's craft idea, I want you to think about your ideal place of worship. Your ideal house for God. Now that place might be our church building. It might be our sanctuary or our Sunday school classroom. It might be somewhere else. It might be a place in your house. Think about where that ideal, perfect place of worship is for you. Once you've thought of that place, your craft idea is to draw or paint that place. Now, it's going to be very unique and very special to you. It might not look like much to other people, but you know that it's your perfect place for worship. Your perfect house for God. I'm going to show you my ideal place for worship. So this is a painting I did many years ago, and this is my ideal, my perfect place for worship. I really love being in nature, so I have the trees to represent nature. I also love looking out on the water. Seeing trees and water always reminds me of God's glory and God's power in creating such beautiful things. So I have those elements of nature. I also have some sand to represent a beach. And then you see I have a communion table and a cross. So in this picture, I not only have God's beautiful nature, but I have symbols that represent God, the cross and the communion table. To me, from this spot, I would be able to hear the beautiful crashing waves, the rustling wind and some leaves rolling around, and I would be able to sit and be present with God, to praise God, to talk to God, and to be thankful for everything that God has given me. So this is my ideal, my perfect place of worship. What does yours look like? Think about it and then draw and paint your perfect place for worship, your perfect house for God. That's this week's craft idea. Please join me for a word of prayer. Dear God, thank you for everything that we see that reminds us of your presence with us. Whether it's a church building, a cross, a stained glass window, a friend, or the beauty of your creation. God, please help us to make these special places of worship, these houses for you, especially as we cannot gather in your church now. Help us to remember that you are always there with us, and that a place of worship is wherever people can come, gather, and praise you. God, please bless our community. Keep us healthy, and watch over all of us until we meet together again. In your name we pray. Amen. I wanted to remind all of you that from August 10th to August 13th, we're going to be having this year's Vacation Bible School, VBS. Or this year it's actually VBS, Virtual Vacation Bible School. We're going to be holding Vacation Bible School completely online, posting videos with the day's lesson, craft ideas, and music. You'll also receive a packet of crafts and other ideas of ways that you can celebrate the week's theme. Great Big Beautiful World. If you haven't already signed up for Vacation Bible School, please do that soon. Registration closes August 6th. To sign up for VBS, visit our Facebook page, or if you go to the FPC website, you'll see at the very top where it says VBS Registration. Click on that and you'll be able to sign up. Well, thank you for joining me for this week's Sunday School Storytime with Susanna. Have a blessed week!